So look at Anthony Ryder from South Lyon, Michigan, recently selected as the Lions 2020 Fan of the Year. He has a passion about sports broadcasting.
With the 112th selection in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Amon-Ra St. Brown, wide receiver, USC. One pride, baby! Yeah!
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Detroit Lions video. Now, Brad Holmes, the general manager of the Detroit Lions, has gotten a little bit of heat over the past couple of weeks regarding how he has gone about building this football team. And, overall, I feel like a lot of people are starting to kind of turn on what Brad Holmes has done and kind of go from, okay, be patient, let's see how he drafts, let's give it 2-3 draft classes to really give it a fair shot, to, okay, we're 6 weeks into year 2 and we're not winning football games, the GM must be the problem, we don't have the talent, we don't have the players. And today I want to just kind of go over what Brad Holmes has done, what he has drafted for the Detroit Lions, and show that there is progress being made and there are players being added that are making this football team better, and that even though the final product may not quite be ready just yet, it is certainly getting better, and the Lions are in a better place now than they were before because of Brad Holmes, and specifically because of Brad Holmes' ability to draft and find talent. Now, taking a look at the first draft class, because Brad Holmes has made 15 picks as the general manager, right? 7 last year, 8 this year. 15 total picks as the Detroit Lions general manager, and I'd say overall, he's done pretty well. Starting off in the 2021 class, he came away with 3 starters from his 7 picks. Of course, Penei Sewell, who turned out to be a top 10 NFL offensive tackle, right? He is playing a little bit out of position at right tackle, but is still one of the top 10 right tackles in the NFL, and I believe could make the argument for potentially top 10 tackle in the entirety of the NFL, regardless of what side Penei Sewell is on up to this point. He has been just a phenomenal player, right? Sets the tone in the run game, had a really good game versus Micah Parsons, played great pass rush as a rookie and kept Jared Goff clean. I mean, Penei Sewell has been everything and more that the Lions wanted him to be at the 7th overall pick. He is a potential Pro Bowler this year and potentially a future All-Pro, if not Hall of Famer, at the route that he is currently going. Now, I would say Alim McNeill was a pick on day 2 that turned out to be pretty good. Alim McNeill turned out to be a first-team all-rookie defensive tackle in his first season, and of course is a full-time 16-17 game starter for the Detroit Lions every single year, has been since he was drafted last year, and has played and started every game for the Detroit Lions, being a huge impact player in the rushing attack for the Detroit Lions. Now, Amon-Ra St. Brown, the day 3 pick, obviously has quite a bit to say about this as well, right? The 112th overall pick in the 2021 NFL Draft turned out to be a pretty good player. I'd say top 20 wide receiver when he's healthy, and arguably top 10 wide receiver as far as production when he has been healthy throughout his early NFL career. Amon-Ra St. Brown has been great. Penei Sewell has been great. Alim McNeill has been great, and I would argue that Derek Barnes and Ifeatu Melifonwu have both shown flashes as well of being not only capable of playing in the NFL, but being capable of starting in the NFL. Of course, Derek Barnes had a really quick start to the preseason of his rookie year, and then obviously you had Ifeatu Melifonwu, who started 7 games for the Lions last year at corner and played pretty well at that point before getting injured. Both of them, I think, have a little bit more developing that they need to get done in year 2, but I think they are both on the right track to becoming potential future starters. And Derek Barnes, of course, had his breakout career game at Green Bay just this past weekend. I'd say the only real miss that Brad Holmes made in the first time going about the NFL draft was Levi Onwuzurike, and even that I think is a little early to tell. Yes, Levi has had back injuries. Yes, there's a possibility that Levi may not play for the Detroit Lions, but the tape said that he was the best defensive tackle in the class, right? His medicals, at least before he was being drafted, clearly were not indicating enough to say that he should not have been drafted, because he was still on a lot of draft boards right around where the Detroit Lions had drafted him. Obviously, you can look back at 2020 vision and say, okay, you could have got JOK, you could have got Asante Samuel Jr., you could have got XYZ player in the class. If you want to say that the Lions missed on Levi, I would not argue with that. I think that health has been a big problem for Levi, and if he isn't playing, then it's not a good pick. It's a wasted draft pick at this point because he hasn't produced. But even Brad Holmes' worst pick as a general manager still has an opportunity to turn it around in a similar way to Jeff Okudah and turn into something that actually is helping and benefiting the Detroit Lions defensive line. And if Levi turns out to play next season and turns out to be even a very average defensive tackle, even an average 4-5 sack interior pass rusher, yes, that's still a wasted pick, but that is not a, the worst pick you could have made type selection by Brad Holmes. So I'd say Brad Holmes in his first draft got 3 starters, 2 developmental starters, and I'd say missed once. I'd say Jermar Jefferson was kind of to be expected. Very average C-level pick for the Detroit Lions. But in 2022 is where Brad Holmes really started to get hot. Brad Holmes with the 2nd overall pick in the 2022 class drafted Aiden Hutchinson, the pass rusher from Michigan. Now, since being selected as the number 2 overall pick, Aiden Hutchinson has only led the NFL's rookie class in sacks, pressures, TFLs, quarterback hits, as well as having an interception on the season, and has done so while being the 3rd highest double-teamed player, not just of the rookie class, but of the entirety of the NFL. Aiden Hutchinson has been double-teamed more than anybody not named Myles Garrett and Micah Parsons, and as of right now, he leads all rookies in sacks, pressures, TFLs, and quarterback hits, despite that being the case. There's a lot to be said about Aiden Hutchinson. There's a lot to be said about early season Hutch and later season Hutch. There's a lot to be said about where he was at the start of the season and where he is right now. There's obviously been some growth there at the position as a player, but Hutchinson is easily the most efficient rookie pass rusher of this class, and if you get the most productive pass rusher, it's hard to really grade against that guy. Second pick, obviously Jameson Williams has not played yet, but the second selection that has seen the field has been Josh Paschal. And even though it has been relatively brief, even though we've only seen Josh Paschal in 3 games, his presence has absolutely been felt. He is somebody that constantly collapses pockets. He is somebody that constantly pushes offensive linemen back into the quarterback's lap. Josh Paschal has yet to record a sack, but has multiple tackles for loss up to this point, and has just been a very, very good presence on the defensive line, right? Maybe not the flashiest numbers as of right now, but watching the tape, watching the film, Josh Paschal is very clearly a great tool to be utilized on that defensive line. And in just 3 games, he has been incredibly, not productive, but incredibly impactful for the Detroit Lions defense as a whole. 3rd round pick, of course, Kirby Joseph just had his breakout game up to this point, just had his breakout game versus Green Bay this past Sunday, but has been really good before that. He has, I believe, now made 5 starts. He's forced 4 turnovers, and he has forced those 4 turnovers in the last 3 games, with a forced fumble versus Dallas, a forced fumble versus Miami, and of course 2 interceptions versus Aaron Rodgers. Now, Kirby Joseph, I think, very well could come away as being the best player from this class, the best rookie from this Detroit Lions draft class. He is just developing incredibly fast. And I would say the real number 1 play that just showed how special Kirby Joseph can and is in the NFL, can be and is in the NFL, would be the fake 0 blitz where Kirby Joseph was lined up on the line of scrimmage, turned, sprinted 50 yards down the field, and had a pass breakup versus Aaron Rodgers to prevent a touchdown. That is a special play. That is a Derwin James, that is a Javon Holland, that is a Minkah Fitzpatrick level play made by the rookie free safety making his 5th career start versus a Hall of Fame quarterback. Kirby Joseph is young, he is still a little bit raw, but his instincts are coming along, and Kirby Joseph will be a special player in the NFL at the trajectory that he is going. And then, of course, you have Malcolm Rodriguez, who just turned out to be the steal of the draft in the 6th round and very well could make the argument for being the best rookie linebacker in this class. Now, there is admittedly a little bit of competition there, right? I think Devin Lloyd's very good. There's some good rookie linebackers. It's not like he's running away with the award, but I think Malcolm Rodriguez at the very least is in the conversation for best rookie linebacker in this class. So you look at it and the Lions got the most productive edge rusher. They got Josh Pascal. They got maybe the best safety in the class, maybe arguably the best linebacker in the class. And then you have James Mitchell, the 5th round tight end, who in one game of being targeted has his first career touchdown and looked pretty good as a receiving threat. And then, of course, you haven't even mentioned the most explosive player from the 2022 class being Jameson Williams, who we will likely see within the next 3 to 4 games for the Detroit Lions. So, in 2021, Brad Holmes drafted the best offensive tackle, a top 5 wide receiver, and the best interior defensive lineman. It might not be Levi, but he got that guy in Aleem McNeil. And then, of course, I think, as I said, got a role-playing linebacker, potential starting linebacker, and safety/corner. 3 starters. In the 2022 class, he got the best edge rusher, he got the best linebacker, got arguably the best safety, arguably, hopefully, when he sees the field, the best wide receiver. He found 5 starters, potentially 6 starters with James Mitchell in 8 picks for the 2022 Lions draft class. Brad Holmes can draft. Yes, you can make the argument that Brad Holmes hasn't done enough in free agency. You can argue that maybe some of the trades haven't always been perfect from Brad Holmes, which again, I think you can argue that a lot of his trades have made the Lions a better football team. But if Brad Holmes has done anything well for the Detroit Lions, he can absolutely draft. He has done it 2 years in a row with limited picks, and he has put the Lions in a better position to succeed. So when we're going towards the future and we're saying, well, the Lions need to draft a rookie quarterback, the Lions need this position and that position in the draft, there are very few general managers through the last 2 years that have drafted better than Brad Holmes. So when we're going into the future talking about how can this team get better, how is this team going to draft their quarterback, which quarterback are they going to find, there's not too many people in the NFL and not too many general managers at this point through the last 2 years that I would trust to find you talent in the draft better than Brad Holmes. So with that being said, that's all I got for you guys today. Just wanted to really talk about Brad Holmes. There's been a lot of controversy. There's been a lot of, oh my God, Brad Holmes hasn't done enough for the Detroit Lions adding talent. But I did want to kind of just, sit down here, talk about this video and say, Brad Holmes is doing a good job. Brad Holmes is drafting very well for the Lions. He's getting young, developmental talent in the building, and at this point, the coaches are on the clock to start developing this talent. But with all that being said, that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you all so much for watching. Let me know your opinions of Brad Holmes down in the comments below. I'll be very curious what you guys think. With all that being said, that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you all so much for watching. Until next time, and as always, go Lions!